good morning to all of you that are tuning in. And thank you, Elliot. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Diodene. Thank you. There's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about the Southern Cameroon and who is engaged in this systematic torture in Southern Cameroon. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Vanilla. Vamela. Sorry if I pronounce the names wrong, but I apologize for that. And remember that I am broadcast on my Facebook and on my YouTube. Who is engaged in a systematic torture in Southern Cameroon territory? So many of the names, although I couldn't project many of those on, but you can also see those on my YouTube as well, because I am also broadcast and on my Facebook and on my. Great job, absolutely. You're doing a good job. That's what need to be done right away, immediately. So remember that I'm also broadcast on my YouTube as well. So who is actually engaged in a systematic torture in Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia. So we were gonna talk more about those individuals and more. Stay tuned, do not go away. This is Funton Daniel speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. Don't go away. Um, Thank you, Chair, through Chair, and I'm sure many of you haven't heard. But first of all, before we proceed, I want to thank those in Ground Zero, the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia system that are defending the Southern Cameroon territory. And I want to my deep, sincere congratulations for the you are one marvelous job. We are together. Freedom is the list that the people of Southern Cameroon, they do not need to have La Republique to survive. La Republique does not need, we don't need La Republique to survive. We need to be left alone. We don't have an obligation to have a forced marriage with the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. We don't have to live together with them. We don't need an external support. We need to live as the people of Southern Cameroon like any other nations. We were being brought into this forceful wedding. We were brought into this forceful wedding by the UK officials. Let's look at some of the UK officials. before we come on to the UK officials, but thank you, Victorine, for joining in. That is wonderful. You all seen many of you haven't looked at the issues that is going on in Southern Cameroon territory. Southern Cameroon territory, as you all know, Southern Cameroon is a former British colony. It's a former British colony that the United Nations, in the plenary sessions says the territory that belongs to the former colonial master be prepared for immediate independence. The neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun, got their independence in 1960, and in doing so, Southern Cameroon was not part of that document. Southern Cameroon, in fact, was not part of La Republique in 1960 when the colonial master, France, tabled a document to the United Nations. And in 1961, when the people of Southern Cameroon was tabled at the United Nations, they were not part of La Republique du Cameroun. And so therefore, they should not be forced into cohesion to be able to say that they must live under the mercy of La Republique du Cameroun. So therefore, our case, our scenario, our case is different from any other nations that we may be talking about. Our case is unique and is contrary to the perception many people have over the people of Southern Cameroon. And yet, we have witnessed a tremendous slaughtering, murdering, burnt of citizens of Southern Cameroon. The fact that the world is turning a blind eye over the people of Southern Cameroon. And those are the list of some of the individuals that has carried on the murdering suicide in Southern Cameroon. And those are it's called Obese Oscar. Obese Oscar is the person in charge of the Gendermarie, BIR, and in the neighboring country headquarters. That is the person that is in charge of their training and the slaughtering of the citizens of Southern Cameroon as I'm speaking. It is quite amazing how the world just stands adamantly ignorant as though what is exactly the cause of this murder. But of course some they know, but they care less, since it's from the people that since it's a black race and has nothing to do with international community. When the United Nations officials, when I talk of United Nations, because they are the leading bribing and corrupted officials at the United Nations headquarters, physically here in the United States, in New York building. Let's look at some of those corrupted officials. Yes, you all remember that the United Nations Secretary General, when he traveled to the neighboring country like Republique du Cameroun, he was leading the bribery and corruptions. And since he returned back from the neighboring country like Republique du Cameroun, he's absolutely banned all those who stood and questioning his legitimacy, his authority, and the continued genocide in Southern Cameroon. Of course, it pays no attention. And that's him. Southern Cameroon is a legal sovereign entity. Why must they live under the mercy of La Republique du Cameroun? Of course, no one has a legitimate questions to argue for or against. But unfortunately, since we are in a world that is full of corrupted officials in this planet, it doesn't matter. So long as the murder continues, it doesn't bother any individuals. And that is why the people of Southern Cameroon continue to have all this faith. That is the U.S. Undersecretary for African Affairs in his unapologetically stand on the U.S. Congress or the U.S. Senate and say the people of Southern Cameroon believe in Camerooners. That is a deplorable. It seems like they are not aware of reality, and he will stand and say the people of Southern Cameroon believe in Camerooners. We do not, in any circumstances, we share that we believe in Camerooners. We absolutely do not, in any circumstances. We want to be, the people of Southern Cameroon want to be left alone. They do not need La Republique to survive. They need to live, and they don't need any subvention or any supply from La Republique in order to be able to live by themselves. They have the liberty, they have the freedom, and they should be able to let go and have their own social life the way they want it, they deem necessary. Their educational system, their cultural system, their political system, their justice system. All this system is contrary to the system of the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in equal justice. We believe that the people have the right to question an existence of any government that is in place in Southern Cameroon. That is the right of the people. We don't believe that they can be forced upon the people of Southern Cameroon at their will. And that is why the U.S. Undersecretary, in his falseful assumption, believe that the people of Southern Cameroon believe in Camerooners. And that is why I am here that we, the people of Southern Cameroon, totally reject that assumption. And we will not, in any circumstances, be forced into a cohesion that we believe in Camerooners. In zero term. That is the United Nations Secretary General. As each of these individuals, once they step into La Republique, they become the corrupted officials. And as soon as they return back to U.S., their course of language change drastically because they have been corrupted. And none of them begin to speak as they usually. And that is the corrupted world environment that we live in, and we have to deal with it. But however, the people of Southern Cameroon, we must fight, we must spill the blood till we are able to cement the entire system of Southern Cameroon. That is the choice we have to take. That is the course of direction that we must take. In fact, other nations, the United States fought against Britain 200 years ago. It wasn't the entire state of the United States. It was 13 states that stood for the freedom of this great nation, the United States, 200 years ago. No taxation without a representation. That was the philosophy. And they are able to achieve those philosophy. And they are able to defeat the mighty navy of Great Britain. And today, the United States is one of the most amazing, strongest nations on this planet. But yet, we are on the path to that freedom, the people of Southern Cameroon. We will never neglect ourselves. We will never accept those philosophies. We will stand for freedom. Freedom for our people. Freedom not to be forced into cohesion. Fellow brothers and sisters, we are at war. And the war must stand. And we must face it. Germany fought a series of wars. The essence of Germany fighting those wars was to liberate the people of Germany. Today, Germany stands as one of the strongest economies in the entire hemisphere. But because a courageous individual, Otto von Bismarck, stood for German freedom, and the people of Southern Cameroon are not exceptions. I am here to remind all of us that liberty and freedom must reign on behalf of Southern Cameroon. That is the brutal dictatorship. He has been in power for 37 years. For 37 years, for Christ's sake. What does he have to offer? He's basically 87 years old. Mentally deranged, inaccurate mental status, and above all, the most worst brutal dictator we have on this planet Earth. And yet, of course, I was very deeply deplorable when I listened from the U.S. Undersecretary that he heard and he listened. He's mentally, I don't know how I've forgotten the word he used, but it's sad indeed. That was somebody that he stood on the media and denounced. But as soon as he arrived in the neighboring country, he came back, his language immediately changed. He began to congratulate foreign nations for their duty. Imagine the leader of the free world, United States, was standing asking for someone unknown to the world community, Switzerland. Is that not deplorable? By the way, that of course, we all have AFRICOM. AFRICOM has shown they need to do more. They need to do more than they expected. The AFRICOM need to do more. And that is why I am asking the United States Department of Defense. They need to do more. Not just install it, because history will say that at a time of crisis, did the United States stood aside. I am very appreciative of the current U.S. diplomat, Ambassador Peter, who is currently in La Republique, for his marvelous job and on behalf of the United States. But the United States need to do more. Before we talk about Obey's Oscar Colonel Biya Gendermarie, that's the person that is in charge of the training of the person that is causing all this atrocity and burning human shields in Southern Cameroon. And that is the person that his lives is in the hidden, that many people don't know more about him. That is the person that is in charge of the training of those who are causing this war-torn in Southern Cameroon territory. He's called Obey's Oscar Colonel of the BIR and the Gendermarie. That's the person in charge. And that is the person that has caused wanton destruction in Southern Cameroon. We will look into some of those destruction. You can see, this is a clear example. That's how they carry on destruction in Southern Cameroon. Those are investment of the children of Southern Cameroon. Parents, the building, because in economy that has been destroyed by the neighboring country, La Republique Du Cameroon. Children, citizens, they manage to be able to get a little they can to be able to afford for what they call Okada riders. Those are citizens that their parents struggling to be able to afford to get those Okada, those machines that help them to carry on transportation to be able to provide a little food on the table. Because many of them are university graduates. And because in an era where when you express yourself in English in the neighboring country like Republique du Cameroon, your chances of having a job is very slim. And so people looking for an alternative route that they can get. But when this brutal military of the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun, gather those investments that they never provide to the citizens of Southern Cameroon and burn them and destroy them. Let's watch what this terrorist army are doing in Southern Cameroon. Those are bikes. There are more than 500 bikes that were burned deliberately by the destructive force of La Republique military in Southern Cameroon territory. I'm sure you can see intentionally. You can watch. It's not just that. It's not just that. You can watch. These are the prison in Southern Cameroon, in Boya. This is where the war zones are of Southern Cameroon, because these there are the political seeking for liberty, freedom, and equality. But in the prison, the population of the prisoners are Southern Cameroon. In every part of this, both in La Republique and in Southern Cameroon, the entire populations are all citizens of Southern Cameroon. But when it comes to financial corruptions, they are the francophones that they are in charge of all the financial corruptions. But when it comes to liberty and equality, political stability, is Southern Cameroon. That is because they are asking strategic questions. Why are we, in this planet? The planet is to build a lasting environment that humans must grow and have a certain lifestyle, so that at the end of their end of life, they should be able to have a place and die as abundantly. But in an era when the corruption has spearheaded every environment, and La Republique has denied all the opportunity to the citizens of Southern Cameroon. And that is why they're asking even the world, why are we in La Republique? Do we have to have La Republique in our midst? And of course, that is the obvious question. And that is why the citizens want to be left alone and live in an environment that they are capable to manage, that in an environment they can. And that is why La Republique, we must fight. These are the prison. And all the prisoners are Southern Cameroon citizens and controlled by the military of La Republique du Cameroun in every angle in Southern Cameroon, including the National Gendermarie headquarters. I'm sure I'm going to bring the image of the person in charge of the destruction and torture they call the SED, SED, or the secretariat of the boss of the Gendermarie headquarters, the SED, that is in charge of the special molestation of the citizens of Southern Cameroon. We shall come to that. Stay tuned and don't go away. You can see, those are the burning and destruction of Southern Cameroon. You can watch. This is exactly a lifestyle that is constantly going on in Southern Cameroon territory. And that is not known to the international community, or the international community pay little known understanding of what is happening. And you can see these images that is constantly coming to the Southern Cameroon, caused by the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun military. You can watch. Those are homes that are deliberately, intentionally burned by the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun military. You can see those are human burnt alive. You can watch, those are human deliberately burnt alive by the military of La Republique du Cameroun. I'm sure you, all of you, are watching this deplorable state of Southern Cameroon, and you can see those are images of burnt citizens. You can watch. This is the lifestyle, and it's constant, and it's deliberately, intentionally by the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun, and yet they believe that the citizens of Southern Cameroon believe in Camerooners. That's the word from the U.S. Undersecretary for African Affairs. I am sure they should have a better word to use than believing than on a falseful assumption that the citizens of Southern Cameroon believe in Camerooners. If I see these fellow brothers that have been burnt alive, and I will acknowledge and denounce to the Undersecretary for African Affairs that the people of Southern Cameroon is absolutely do not in any of his assumption. You all know this is deplorable. This is absolutely deplorable. This happened in Bali when they spread gas at midnight, when the gas was spread in Bali at midnight. And when they realized that there could be a potential evidence that they could, and they went and burnt those images. And you shall see in the subsequent as you can watch, you can see. And after they learned that those images could be potential implicate, they went and burned them alive. This is what is making up news in Southern Cameroon and to the rest of the world that is unknown and pay less attention. That is what we will expect, that all these foreign diplomats that are in La Republique, that they will raise an alarm. But unfortunately, it's only a single nation, the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy is the only single nation that is raising an outrageous alarm by the destruction that is being carried out by La Republique du Cameroun in Southern Cameroon territory. Only U.S. But the rest of the embassy are just a robotic embassy that there simply has no voice and is absolutely silent. And one will expect that international community. We have one. We have the British Embassy. They are more concentrated for a natural gas exploitation. That is what the British Embassy. That is a nation that we were brought into this mess by the British government. They believe that the people of Southern Cameroon cannot manage themselves, they cannot live on their own, they cannot have no liberty. They must live at the mercy of La Republique du Cameroun. That is a falseful assumption of the British government. And that is why they were more interested that the natural gas exploitation was more important to the British than the human civilians that are being burnt, killed, and murdered by the terrorist government of La Republique du Cameroun. Those are citizens of Southern Cameroon. This is the map of the Southern Cameroon. That is a map of the Southern Cameroon as a sovereign nation. And they have their own distinctive government. They have three times elected a government. First, John Endele. Endele was the first prime minister of Southern Cameroon. And after a subsequent election, John Bufonja became the next prime minister of Southern Cameroon. After the subsequent election, Joa became the last prime minister of Southern Cameroon in 1965 when he appointed his last government. That's the last government of the Southern Cameroon. That's the last government of the Southern Cameroon. You can watch. That's the last government of the Southern Cameroon. That in 1965, A.N. Joa was the prime minister. A.N. Joa. But today, it doesn't matter. So long as they're murdering indiscriminately, because they are obligated to be under the mercy of La Republique du Cameroun. But I am here to remind the world that the people of Southern Cameroon has rights. We will spill the blood till the last person, and until the freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon are allowed, then there shall be no breathing space. And we ask anyone that has abandoned, that joined the momentum, and that the people of Southern Cameroon must overcome, and they must live by themselves, and they cannot be forced by the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun, to live under the coalition of La Republique du Cameroun. That is our citizens that we are deliberately burnt. Imagine during the Enugu House of Assembly, we will never experience this attitude and behavior. It was a routine behavior, normal debate at the Enugu House of Assembly in Nigeria. We will never had any this experience when our citizens are being burned down by the Nigerian government. No, it was a unanimous debate within the Enugu House of Assembly. They will evaluate, they will debate, and they will either implement what we choose that has to be implemented in the Southern Cameroon territory. We will never witness this abnormal murdering that is going on in Southern Cameroon that is being perpetrated by the Nigerian authority. We had a wonderful relationship that we were in Nigeria than being in this merciless mercenary by the La Republique du Cameroun that have been forced upon the people of Southern Cameroon because of the corrupted world and environment, the corrupted world. That is the world we are living in. They can't stand for the truth. Our citizens are spilling the blood. This is a jailhouse in Southern Cameroon. This is a prison house, both in Southern Cameroon and in the neighboring country, La Republique, and they are all filthy. And guess who are there? Our citizens of Southern Cameroon. You can watch. That is the Prime Minister. That is the Prime Minister lodge in Southern Cameroon. That is where the Prime Minister, when they left to attend the Enugu House of Assembly in Nigeria, this is where the debate, this is where the Prime Minister lives. It's now been in a forestry environment. La Republique is planning to destroy that monument. La Republique is planning to destroy that monument. That is the Southern Cameroon police in Moteng. That's the Southern Cameroon police force. That is the Southern Cameroon police force. And yet, we are not like they call the Biafran case. We are totally different from the Biafran case. In 1960, when the Nigeria was tabled at the United Nations for seeking for their sovereignty, The Biafra were part of the Nigerian territory. So they are a people that are fighting to break away. We are not fighting to break away from La Republique because we are by default a sovereign nation. We were simply came together. There was no legitimate document. There is absolute zero document that forced us into this coalition. We were simply living together. They have their own independence. We do have our independence. And we shouldn't be becoming the slaughtering house. This is our police training school of the Southern Cameroon territory. That is the vote at the United Nations headquarters in New York. That is the vote that was held. And a total number of 64 nations, overwhelmingly, including the United States, vote to recognize the people of Southern Cameroon as a sovereign nation. But the world community could not acknowledge that they had an obligation to stand for the truth, veracity. The world must stand and speak the truth, veracity. Veracity, speak the truth, stand for the truth. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter to them. They twist the truth to change the course of direction because they want to satisfy their personal interests prior than the people to whom they owe allegiance and that they need to stand for them. Fellow brothers and sisters, we are standing against injustice against the people of Southern Cameroon. You know, when you attend a court here or here, when you attend a court, they look at the law, and if they look at the law and they're making judgment based on the law, why can they not stand against the Southern Cameroon when the document is specified and acknowledge the existence of the people of Southern Cameroon, that the people have chosen their destiny, and we must stand by their wishes and let's promote their wishes. But unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. But we must use our burden of the arm, because that is the one who will stand against us and liberate us against the xenophobious world community. That is the person that has been appointed to force the people of Southern Cameroon. That is the citizens of Southern Cameroon. He is personally responsible for the murdering and the genocide that is going on. He is the one that supervised the massive killing in Bali. For those who are not aware, he is the one that supervised the massive killing in Bali. That is him. Robinson. That he has been elevated to a general because of his murdering scheme that is carried out in Southern Cameroon territory. Of course, the world cares less when it comes to Africans as a whole, but we must stand, and we must stand against those individuals, because the price shall be paid somehow in this planet. That is the person, Robinson. He is the one responsible in Bamenda. He has been installed in charge of the destruction in Southern Cameroon. That is when he was a colonel. This is when he was a colonel. And after when he became he carried on those murdering the genocide in Northwest in general. That is why he was uplifted to a general. Our own son of the soil. That is the person that is in charge of destroying our fundamental value, our liberty, our equality, because we want to stand for the truth, and yet they sent our own blood to come and molest us because we are forced to stay with La Republique. Over our dead body, we must stand together, we must stand firm, and we must let the world understand that liberty for the people of Southern Cameroon shall not in any circumstances be jeopardized by the world community. That is the price we all must pay. That is the price we all must pay. And liberty must persist. Yes. That is the price all of us pay. Yes. Why can that's just because I spoke about the undersecretary. Because each time when these foreign leaders, each time when foreign leaders travel and meet this worst nightmare dictator, and they said, we believe in Camerooners. Do you believe in Camerooners? Do you? Absolutely not. None of us believe in Camerooners. We believe in Southern Cameroon. We believe in Ambazonia. We believe that we should be able to live and manage our affairs and not depend on the mercy of a foreign nation that we care less about. That's why our citizens are being burned indiscriminately. This is another idiot. It's from the neighboring country, like Republique Du Cameroun. He was out and he will have voice. But as soon as he leaves, he was brought in. His language changed immediately. That was the person they call it. He's a somehow justice or whatever you call it. That is an idiot. You all know who that is. Of course. You know. That's the person, those in charge of the Gendermarie. That's how our people are being tortured. You all watch. This is the life we all embrace in Southern Cameroon territory. Because murder and torture become the... That's our citizens. You can watch.
Cameroon a long-term friend. We consider it essential for the stability in that region of Africa. As we all know, Cameroon has tremendous potential. It has phenomenal natural resources, has a highly educated...
I really refer you to the ambassador of Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in this country. But we still have partnerships with Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners, and we will continue those relationships for some time.
So committee the human rights abuses. For example,
So, and to round up the news, these are the people that are responsible for the torture in Southern Cameroon. This is the person in charge of the SEC. You all know about Chris Annan, the communications secretary. The mother is currently in, she's nowhere to be found. It's getting to 2 weeks, according to our communication secretary for IG. Her mother is nowhere to be found. And this is the person in charge of that environment where this torture chamber has been organized for the citizens of Southern Cameroon. That is the person that is in charge of the torturing chamber. They call it SED, S-E-D, the secretariat. That is the person that is in charge of the torturing chamber. And this is where the citizens of Southern Cameroon are facing a nightmare. But however, I want to show that those individuals shall one day be present and we can deal with them. You all know, you all remember Kosovo cases. It's still fresh in our memory. Bill Clinton stood up and they are still facing justice. Bill Clinton, the former president of these great nations, he stood up against the Kosovo. You all know that Kosovo was responsible for the genocide that was happening in that country. But today, they have been decimated. But these individuals that are in charge of the slaughtering and torturing chamber in the city of Southern Cameroon, a day is coming that the grace shall not stand upon you guys. Fellow, stay tuned. These are the cruel individuals that are responsible for the torture that is going on in the Southern Cameroon territory. Those are them. Fellow brothers and sisters, I can assure you that our spirit is stronger than ever before. That is the person in charge of the National Gendermarie headquarters that's responsible for the torture and murder. That's the person that gives instruction and how the torture should be performed on the citizens of Southern Cameroon. In Southern Cameroon. Fellow brothers and sisters, our spirit will not relinquish our effort. We shall overcome the enemies. For those of you, this is an agent of La Republique that are currently monitoring the citizens of Southern Cameroon. Fellow brothers, stay tuned, and I want to assure you, we will be the conqueror. Spirit stronger than ever before. I want to take a moment. I want to thank all of you for watching. This is Comrade Funton Daniel speaking live here from the great state of Texas, and I wish you all a happy, wonderful day. This is the spirit of Southern Cameroon freedom fighter. We shall overcome and not surrender. I love you all.